Hello and welcome to 100 Yards of Football Sports Talk. I'm back, sports fans. Yours truly, Coach Kevin Bull Jones. Going through my own season right now, but I had a little time after practice to sneak a peek and talk about some wonderful football I saw down in Tuscaloosa. And I'm here with a great friend of mine, the man that I enjoy talking football with. So if you enjoy the show, please come on in and share for 100 yards of sports talk, football. Yours truly, Coach Jones. I'm here with the man, the myth, the legend, Johnathan Lewis. How you doing? How you doing, my friend?
I'm breathing. I'm watching college football, and I'm making college football videos, so it literally probably cannot get any better.
You the
So,
man. I'm gonna be like you. Grow up, I'm gonna be like you. Well, it's good to see you. I know we've been playing a little phone tag and
yeah,
and going through my season. It's been a definitely a roller coaster ride. Started off 4-0 and shaking hands like I'm running for president, and then we hit a little snag there, and we've taken two hits, so we're 4-2 right now. But the future is bright, and here's my motto that I like to use, and I say you only got 10 games.
yep,
You only got 10 games. You do all of this work for 10 games. That's all you guaranteed. And then you got the playoffs, but you got to earn the playoffs. It's not like baseball. You got 162 games. Okay, it's not like the NBA. You got over 80. High school, you got over 35. If you make it to the playoffs, in high school baseball, you even got 30 games. In football, you work 8 months for 4 months. It's the
yep,
most amazing thing about high school football. You're only guaranteed 10 games, not including the scrimmage. 10, and you got to make it happen. So I'm in a beast of a region with some outstanding football programs down here in Metro Atlanta. And hey, listen, just got to roll my sleeves up. So I miss you all, sports fans, but I didn't miss my roll tide.
nope. So I'm going to add in on something. One of my favorite quotes of all time actually came from Kobe Bryant. He said, basically, what it equates to is 60,000 hours for 60 minutes.
Mm,
You're talking about making it all the way through the NFL because he gave a speech to Alabama
yes.
actually a couple of years ago, and that was part of his speech. And I was like, man, so true, right?
I tell you, the labor of love and the work we put in, and and building, and you're in the business. I'm in the business of trying to shape young men and boys into become young men. That
Yep.
is, and it's an amazing feat. And we're the smallest team when we get off the bus. And my mother always made the joke that we look like a JV team. She said, "Son, I thought you coached high school varsity." I said, "Mom, this is the varsity team." She said, "Son, you guys are so little." I said, "Well, Mom, they just, we're trying to get them to eat a little more, and I don't know what to tell you. Today's kids are a little different, but we're still feisty, and we still got a shot to make the playoffs. But at the
Yep.
end of the day, the journey, Jonathan, is what makes it great to coach
Oh,
high school football.
100%.
The journey, and so I'm enjoying the journey. And it's like Ray Lewis used to say, and I stole his quote. So yes, Ray Lewis, you ever tune in and watch this show, you'll hear me say it because I say it to my players: peaks and valleys. You have the roller coaster ride, and that's what we got to get through and navigate. But so much for that. Let's talk about the game that everybody
Yeah.
watched. And
Woo.
listen, you tell me what your thoughts were, and I'm gonna give you the coach's perspective.
Oh,
And
man.
yeah, give it.
So let's start off with this. I don't have any popcorn around, but Lane Kiffin, he actually answered, by the way, today in the Ole Miss press conference, they brought it up to him. You know what he said?
What do you
He
say?
said, I guess we just forgot to plug in the microwave. I was like, oh, man, that was like genius.
Mm,
That's boss move.
wow.
So
Wow. Is
Lane
that what
Kiffin,
he said?
yes, he said it. It's like blowing up all over Twitter right now because of Facebook being down for the most part. But yeah, Lane Kiffin knows how to work the social media, good
Yes.
or bad. But anyways, so before I get into the game so much, let's say this. First of all, it sucks to lose Jason McClellan for the rest of the year. Nick Saban
Absolutely.
did say we lost him. He's having knee surgery, so he will be out for the rest of the season, including all the way through the playoffs.
Wow.
And unfortunately, that leaves us with only 3 running backs under scholarship because not many people know that Kamara Wheaton is also still injured as well. And Nick Saban actually did give a brief report on him saying he's week to week, but he does not expect him to even start practicing until at earliest next week.
Wow.
So with that being said, let's move over to the game. I have my notes, of course, compiled as I was going through the game. It got out of hand. I had like 3 pages, it felt like, by the time I get to the end of it. But either way, I want to say this. This is the first time outside of the Southern Miss game where we played legitimate competition. And I was like, okay, a balanced offense in intensity on defense and staying disciplined for a whole game. I was almost crying by the end of this game. I was like, this is what I've been waiting to see all year, man. Like against, don't get me wrong, I won't really count Miami because Derek King was unhealthy, all this stuff. You know what I mean? I wanted to see this in SEC play.
Well, count Miami. Go ahead and count them. They were talking trash. Count them.
They were, but I'm just saying.
They lined up and played. You know,
they did, but we weren't balanced in that game.
Okay.
We weren't. That's what I was wanting. I wanted to see balance in the system with Bill O'Brien. I know the way he coached before. Was at Penn State, moved to Houston, all this stuff. He always created that balance inside the offense, and it seemed like we just weren't getting there until Brian Robinson came out, and obviously he showed out. What do you have? If I get my notes here, he had 36 carries, 171 yards, and 4 touchdowns.
Right.
Bro, it's about time. You waited. You're a 5th-year senior. It's finally about time you get this moving. But either way, about balance, we had 241 yards passing, 210 running. That's what I'm talking. That's all I ask for as a fan, right? I don't ask for too much, just perfect balance inside of an offense and intensity on defense. But either way, another note I'm going to make on the offense as well, and I feel like it's being undervalued at this point, is the progression that Bryce Young has made, working through his progressions, his reads inside this offense to me has been amazing. Beginning of the season, he was staring down receivers. It was kind of obvious. Now it was really nice for 2 games in a row to see him actually have the time. Number one, this offensive line holding up and going through his progressions, doing his check downs, stuff like that. I don't know. It's just, it seems like you're watching Bryce Young grow up, right, as an Alabama fan, right before you in this quarterback spot. But either way, and on top of that, I feel like our offense has an identity now. Brian Robinson is the alpha male at running back. He's kind of staked that claim. Give me the ball. Backup. I don't know if you've seen it. He waved off the backups like 2 or 3 times to stay out. I'm staying in. I was like, this I feel like is that moment to where now I believe in the team and we can win it all. Like, you ever have that moment as a fan where you're like, okay, I've been waiting for this. I feel like this was that game. It happened. But now another thing, by establishing an identity, B-Rob took that. Brian Robinson took that. Jameson Williams, we know he's a deep threat. John Mechie and Slade Bolden is the short to intermediate threat. They can move the ball. And Jameson Williams, obviously a threat on special teams. That's what I mean by identity on the offense. We finally know what we are. So what's your take from that?
Well, I tell you what, let me start where you started. Then I'm gonna meet you where you're at now. I tell you, I didn't need popcorn. Didn't need that. And shame on Lane Kiffin. Disrespecting the reporter when he dropped the mic. I just, and I like Lane Kiffin as a coach. And actually, I was one of those that was worried as a coach facing somebody that knows your offense, been on your staff. So I did have some sleepless nights about that. But shame on him for responding to that reporter the way he did. I just thought that was classless. That was disrespectful. And it left her in a tough situation to not be emotional and stay professional. And I was very keen and noteworthy when she had to ask him the last question and she cut him off that time and ended it. She took back control of that quick interview, hot question. I just thought as a coach, yes, we do get mentally, and emotionally tied to games. And I realized that Kiffin wanted to beat Bama and Coach Saban, more importantly, for all the butt chewings he took when he was on the staff in Tuscaloosa. And so I understand that. But the reporter, the correspondent at halftime and before the game and after the game, I mean, she had no part in that. That wasn't her battleground. So,
Yep.
And then I would like an apology from him because of that. And the fact that he didn't give it, and he didn't even address it. It just kind of, mamas who have players, sons that are being recruited, make a mental note of those.
Yeah, they're paying attention.
Because at the end of the day, what you see is what you get. So yes, they put on a show when they come to your homes and recruit your sons. They put on a great show when they come talk to me about my players I've had in the past, things of that nature. You get the bells and whistles, but when does the real character reveal itself? And unfortunately, I was always been a proponent of Coach Kiffin, always defending him, even though, I know there are people that walk this earth, whether it's media, non-media, or coaches, who really are not really with him and don't have a lot of respect for him. And then he let that ooze out. You talk about the popcorn, and then you turn around and you didn't eat the popcorn because you wasn't ready, because you said get ready. So at the end of the day, I wanted to bring that up because that was a big deal for me in just the presentation. Because as a coach, you always you don't want your players to cut up, so why do you cut up? You know what I mean?
Example.
And I thought that was classless. So back to your point about where things happen with the game and what I thought was some of the key strategic points. Yeah, I'm with you. Jason McClellan, hey, we're praying for you. We're praying for a speedy recovery. Now, coach's standpoint, I tell you right now, I was worried.
Oh, really?
I thought that, I thought that it would be closer than what it was. And I said that if there was somebody that could possibly get us, it would be him and not the folks we're playing next.
Mm-hmm.
So with that being said, and knowing what the whole program and how things are installed defensively and offensively, I was amazed at the defensive lack of defensive prowess that Ole Miss had. I was amazed. I didn't see that coming. When you talk about having a 3-down lineman front and you have 6 defensive backs in the game, I mean, you're now from a football standpoint, Jonathan, I can go 12 personnel, 1 running back, 2 tight ends, which is what Bama did. And now I can go big on small, which I'm going to put my big hands as a tight end or even an extra lineman they use sometimes. And I'm going to put them on a defensive back who's waiting to adjust to playing coverage as if they thought that we were going to throw the ball the whole game. And we didn't. We pounded them. I mean, I don't want to say that was just crazy. Well, I'm going to say it. It was crazy to think that it took so long for Ole Miss to make an adjustment when the game was over in the fourth quarter. Now you want to play tough defense. Well, the game's over. But how dare you say to Coach Saban, we're going to put 3 down linemen down here and we're going to whip your tail? I mean, that's insulting to see one of the greatest collegiate coaches ever, one of the greatest coaches ever, and you challenge him. You got Bill O'Brien, you got Doug Maroney on there, 2 former NFL head coaches, and you have a massive offensive line, and you're going to put 3 down linemen, and you want to bring 6 defensive backs? So what you're saying is, I don't believe that you can run the football, and I'm going to take away Bryce Young's ability to throw the football. I'm going to snatch your heart and soul. Well, they forgot about that beast that wore number 4.
Yep.
And I saw that part when, he waved off the backups because he was like, feed me.
Yep.
I'm not finished eating yet. And that made a lot of sense. And then I like the flip part because as a coach, sometimes I've had my linebacker, I want to send somebody in and replace him. And my linebacker says, get out. I got And believe it or not, I did not. I loved it because there was a sense of ownership to what was going on in that game and my player. That's what Alabama did to Ole Miss. They said, I tell you what, we're going to line up and we're going to hit you in the mouth and we're going to hit you all upside your head and we're going to make you say ouch. And we're going to have ball control. We're going to have drives of over 70 yards and 80 yards. And when we feel like throwing the football, we'll throw the football.
Yep.
And when we do throw it, we're still going to throw it deep. We don't have to throw it to the running backs. We got tight ends, 2 great tight ends, and we got a slew of receivers that will embarrass you while you're still playing 6 deep. It's amazing to when you give me a cover 3 where you have 3 people that play 3 deep. What you're telling me is if I do it, I'm saying to you, Jonathan, you're not throwing deep on me and I'm going to stop you. Well, that's not what happened. So it was balanced. So Lane has got to feel bad about it. I don't know if I know he didn't sleep Saturday night.
No.
I know he didn't sleep Sunday night. He might have ate some popcorn today. I mean, but the reality of it is, from a coaching standpoint, Alabama checked all the boxes of physicality and extreme dominant football, which is what Coach Saban preaches. But let me leave this nugget with you. There was a point in time in that game where Bryce Young and the offense, they were running down the clock and they were about to lose. They were about to get a penalty for delayed game, and he called timeout. Let me tell you how I realized as a coach that Saban is so in tune with Bryce Young to a different level he was with those other players, other previous quarterbacks. Usually Saban would blow a head gasket to have to burn that timeout. Remember those days?
Yep. No, trust me.
I mean, he's chewing people out. He's taking weight off of people. And it's free. He's giving it to anybody that's going to listen.
Yep.
But he didn't do that to Bryce Young, and that was the aha moment for me. Because as a coach, he gave control of that timeout. He saw a not true freshman, but a young quarterback make a decision, and it was a smart decision. And Bill O'Brien didn't get chewed out. The receivers coach, Coach Holland, nobody got chewed out. Coach Wiggins, nobody got chewed out because this young man made a great decision. I thought that was fascinating. That, for me as a coach, spoke 1,000 words of respect, admiration, and confidence in his quarterback. And for that to happen in game, 5?
Yeah,
4, 5, going on 6, I think we got something here. And somebody's going to get the feelings hurt rolling into Tuscaloosa to play because everybody's waiting for the catch game. Guess what, Jonathan? I thought that was the catch game. And I said, as sports fans, don't get mad at me, but from a coaching standpoint, I said that Alabama's going to the national championship, will be playing for the national championship, but I didn't say they were going to be undefeated. I thought there was going to be a boo-boo somewhere.
Yep.
And sometimes those boo-boos make us better. Like Coach Saban says, it's more that you learn. And I thought that was the game. And I even said to you, I thought that it was going to be maybe a field goal. The only part I got right was the last team with the ball. The team that had the ball last won.
You're right on that.
But that's the only part I got right.
Yeah.
But I was worried, and they demolished them. And the word demolish is a heavy word. And to watch those defensive linemen, Will Anderson, Phil Mathis, the Smith kid, Drew Sanders,
DJ Dell.
Come on. Toto finally had a fluid game as far as I'm concerned, because I had some concerns in the previous games. He was still I didn't see what I thought I was going to see when he was playing with the other school. But he finally revved up and got some things done. So I think that we really stepped it up and brought the team to a different level. And here's the word I want to leave with the sports fan. We got mean in that game.
Yeah, no, it's true 100%.
And we need that coincides with what you're saying about the balance.
Yeah.
We needed that meanness.
Yep. The intensity, I'm telling you, I just didn't feel like it was there. So, I'm a stat guy. I'm analytics.
Right.
So, of course, I had to do a little bit and plug in some analytics here. So, we held Ole Miss's offense, who was coming into this game, number 1 in the nation, by the way. 78 rushing yards, 2.3 per carry. which I was almost, like I said, crying. I was like, finally, some intensity on that D line. Passing 213 yards. But the key to me when I'm looking at these stats is the 7.3 average. We kept everything in front of us, and it meant we tackled in open space. Because
Woo.
DeMarco Helms was killing me this year on that, being out of position and missing open tackles like in space. I'm like, man, if we can just correct the small things. I only allowed one TD and no interceptions, right?
Right.
So, and we held them to 26% on third down. That's the thing with Alabama. People talk about Alabama struggling with the mobile quarterbacks and all that stuff. I'm like, well, there's a reason behind that. It's typically because those mobile quarterbacks convert on a 3rd and 4 and 5.
Right.
Well, it seems like we've finally adjusted to that with the addition of, unfortunately, Chris Allen being hurt. Drew Sanders on the opposite side of Will Anderson looks like a complete monster at this point on
Right.
blitzing. It's getting scary how good the defense is starting to look now and coming into its own, right? So, like you said, Henry To'oTo'o, he looks really
Woo.
good at the linebacker
Man.
position,
Jalen
making the
Moody too.
adjustments.
Moody too. Moody did a great job.
Moody, so one of my first podcasts, I was so disappointed. I can't say disappointed. Look, I've been waiting on seeing Jalen Moody in that linebacker position for a while because I did a recruiting video on him 2 years ago. And I said, this kid is going to be the next dominant Alabama quarterback from every aspect of the game. I thought this was going to be his year. Nothing against Henry To'oTo'o. He's an amazing linebacker. I get it.
Right.
If he's starting, that means Nick Saban and that linebacker, all those coaches believe that he should be the starter.
Right.
Man, I want to see Jalen Moody. I'm not going to lie, more on the field. But either way, I'll take what I can get. In my last note here, I put, actually I already talked about it. Allowed short to intermediate passes, but kept everything in front of us and waited on Ole Miss to become impatient themselves. And I love the fact that you brought up, too, that you were irritated with Lane Kiffin throwing the headset up, because I said the same thing. I said, I had respect for Lane Kiffin because I thought he was over that being I hate to say this, but acting like a child almost. You know what I mean? And you see that, and it's like, it's hard to watch sometimes because he was underneath Nick Saban, and there's no way you were going to do that on Saban's staff. You know what I mean? So what did you really take from what he taught you? You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Clearly
it was almost like he wanted to rebel on Saturday at 3:30.
And really going down for it on 4th down at your own 25 in the first half.
What do you say? Okay, as a coach, let me just share this.
All right.
We all as coaches, we use, of course, you hear the KISS principle, keep it simple, silly, or stupid, whatever we call each other. But listen, if it's plus 25 and we're on their side, and I'm just saying, hey, I ain't got nothing to lose if I try this. Okay, I'm with you. And I'm challenging, and you know this, I'm challenging my offensive line and my running back and my skilled guys. I'm challenging you to be better. There's going to come a time in the game where you got to be better than the guys in front of you, and they can know what's coming. And you let's make them whimper because they can't stop it. Well, those moments I get, but that is totally out of character on your own 25.
Yes.
When you have not stopped them yet. Now, and there is some wiggle room if you've been able to stop some people. When you're able to stop people, our head coach says, when he wants to go for some things and on special teams, a fake punt, whatever the case may be. Well, yeah, if my defense is in a great flow and we are checking all the boxes as far as, where we need to be and hit our landmarks and strike our target properly and attacking the football, then yes, I might say, coach, let's ride with it. Let's do it.
Yep.
But the head coach, Lane Kiffin,
trust me, I said the same thing. I was texting my buddy.
That's a baby move.
Yeah, and you know what? I personally believe. This is probably reaching a little bit, but I'm going to say it anyways. The way Lane Kiffin's attitude was at that reporter, and then you are 2 of 5 on 4th down in the first half, going for it for multiple times on your own side, right? It screams to me desperation as a coach. Yeah. And I feel like when you include desperation, that means there's something emotionally attached to that. Mm-hmm. So to me, I feel like there's something that went on before that, before the game started, before they hit the field, that created that sense of desperation that emotional reaction, because you saw it in Lane Kiffin.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well,
Like, so
and they talk. I mean, I for one, everybody knows that plays against me. I don't like to talk to my friends before the game. Even if they're not my friends, I really don't have anything to say because I'm trying to beat your head in, and you're
yep,
trying to beat my head in. So why am I going to sit here for about 2.5 minutes and act like how's the weather? And now my true friends, they know. And when we compete against each other, I really don't have anything to say. And some of them kind of get smart and want to come over and shake my hand and say something to me, and I'll mean mug them because
yep,
I'm really in fight mode. I mean, I really want to destroy you. And now we can have a cookout later after the game and talk about the outcome. When the season's over with, or things of that nature. But it lends me to believe that he's not over his days in
exactly,
Tuscaloosa. He's not
exactly.
over. And the fact that nobody has defeated Coach Saban yet that was on his staff, and now we're gonna have to build up about Texas A&M, and I mean they
No,
just took another loss. So I don't know where all of this is going, but to have those many kids to be in sync with their head coach is a beautiful feeling to watch.
yeah,
My guy, I just we coaches meeting, I'm bragging, and they're looking at me and they're mean mugging me, and they're talking about what Georgia did. Yes, Georgia has a great defensive front.
yep,
Yes, I would say they're the best right now. I will give them that because that's incredible what they're doing. Okay,
100%.
and it stops right there. Because we'll have that other song and dance in December, hopefully, if they make it. But I mean, no, everybody is jealous about that Crimson Tide.
It's
Johnathan, why are they so
winning.
jealous?
It's because it's called Alabama fatigue. People get tired of seeing Alabama win. It's just like the Patriots. But even alluding back to what you were saying, talking to somebody on the field when you're about to play them, not many people realize what Bill Belichick did with Mac Jones at the beginning of the season. I don't think anybody paid attention to the first 3 games of the season. After the games,
Mhm.
I don't think anybody noticed when Bill Belichick grabbed Mac Jones by the back of his jersey and wouldn't let him go talk to the players after the games. And it came out why he was doing that. He said that Mac Jones needed to learn that these are your opponents before they become your friends when we're on this field. And he felt like Mac Jones didn't know that. So it's like, man, that's some like deep thought processes going on behind like getting this kid's mind straight. You know what I mean? Like, so it definitely alludes to what you say. It just brought that up. But yeah,
Now, but with that being said, but not because he did that with Brady too.
yeah, I know. It
He
creates that
did that with
mindset.
Brady. Yeah.
Yep.
It's hey, listen, they asked Brad Nessler in the game he said when he spoke to Bill Bryant about pregame interview, and I mean during the week,
Yeah.
he said what is it that's so significant? You probably heard it, watch the broadcast as well. He said the ability of kids with so much,
Oh my
everybody's so
gosh.
locked in into being the best.
Yep.
You have the cream of the crop in the nation on one team, and everybody's competing to be the best. And it is an unspoken mindset to dominate everybody, regardless of who you are.
Yep.
And the practices are so physical, which I know I've been there. I've seen it. It's physical. Those guys get after it,
Yeah.
and there's sometimes tempers flare. And when Coach Saban said he's had enough of it, I mean, it's a teaching moment, and I love it because the kids embrace it.
Exactly.
I mean, these are 5-star kids. They're not used to people telling them no. I mean, they're not. But Coach Saban he's the lion on the field, on all those fields. But Bill O'Brien said it. He said it's an amazing sight to see the intensity, the speed, the toughness of those practices. And hey, that's what makes Roll Tide stand different from everybody else. So they're gonna have to keep hating because this ship is rolling in a fantastic way, and I'm quite sure you and I see it. And for all the sports fans and listeners that watch it, I tell everybody I live in Georgia, so my tax dollars go to UGA, and I do wish them all the best of luck, until they play Alabama, and then of course that's just the way it is. But all due respect to those guys up there in Athens, but the mean, tough part of Alabama football came out this past Saturday. I
Yep.
loved it. I needed to see that. And yes, I was one of those that was wary and scared that Lane was going to hang 48-50 on us. I was scared
All
because
right.
I'm like you, I didn't see what I needed to see. I feel
Yeah,
better now.
exactly. Now, don't get me wrong. I was worried that it could have been a game. But the thing that stood out to me, even alluding back to who we're about to play, Texas A&M, who, by the way, played a base 3 defense, dropped 8 in coverage against, Mississippi State, which they just lost. Yeah. Either way, Mississippi State ran pretty good on them, by the way. Imagine that, running on a base 3, dropping 8. Yeah. But even alluding back to Alabama, like, I don't know. There's not much more to say to this game other than when you're looking forward to the rest of the schedule,
Yeah.
they're hitting their stride at the right time, because I was worried about this team being so new, the wide receiving core, all of them from top to bottom. Like, I'm the guy that looks ahead, of course. I'm a typical fan like everybody else. I
Right.
love JoJo Earl. Like, I want to see more of this kid. He's somebody I love to rub in a lot of LSU fans' faces, because every LSU fan said he's coming to LSU. He's from LSU, you know what I mean? He's from
Yeah.
there. And then when we got him, I was like, oh man, Eddie O still ain't got it together down there, because you let one of your best slip out of your backyard.
Wow.
But yeah, I just love everything moving forward with Alabama. And like you said, it's a process.
Yeah.
Everything. I mean, I hate to sound redundant and cliche, but the process is put in place for a reason, and it's just a cycle. And
That's
players
right.
notice that. Players notice it in recruiting and everything else, and that's just what it comes down to. When you step on the campus and everywhere else, it's all the same.
Well, I'm always fascinated at the work behind the scenes,
Yeah,
and as a high school coach, and getting around collegiate coaches and seeing the sacrifices they make to be away from their family to put these kids in a position to be successful is just truly
yeah,
enormous. It's fascinating, and it's a calling. I mean, everybody can't do it to Coach Saban's level, but I appreciate the work. And
oh
I
yeah,
appreciate other coaches as well, because they work and they're good at their
yeah,
craft. So yes, uh, I don that favoritism to that success of build up and work. And you're right, everybody can't have 5 stars, but guess what? It's what you do with what you have that makes the greatest impression.
exactly.
And with that being said, my brother, I've enjoyed being able to talk some football with you. I've
Of
been trying
course,
to get to you, man, and I want to thank you for coming on the show again
of course.
to talk some football down there in Tuscaloosa. Crimson Tide, roll Tide, roll. And I promise you, next time I usually I wear my gear and I'm gonna learn how to leave something at the school here at the
There it is.
school in my office, sports fans, so I can look like you, and we'll just have the same flavor with the hat and all that stuff. I'm gonna show out a little bit. So sports fans, next time Johnathan and I get together, I will have my gear on and we'll make it do what it do. But thank you for coming on the show. I
Of course,
appreciate you
man.
so much. Thank you, Jeremiah Long, my producer, the man in charge behind the scenes, once again, getting a chance to talk some Bama football. Thank you so much for all those get a chance to watch. And once again, please share it with your friends. Thank you so much for watching 100 Yards of Football Sports Talk.